Welcome to my YouTube channel, where we uncover the hidden treasures that could be sitting right in your pocket, waiting to transform your life forever. What if I told you that a simple $quarter, one that you might have used to buy a candy bar or tossed into a parking meter without a second thought, could actually be worth an absolutely staggering fortune that would make your head spin? I'm talking about a coin so deceptively ordinary that millions of people have held it in their hands, spent it carelessly, and never realized they were letting go of a potential gold mine that could have changed everything for them. Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating world of the 2004 Florida State Quarter, a coin that looks like any other quarter in circulation, but hides a secret so valuable that collectors and numismatists around the world would do almost anything to get their hands on it. This isn't just folklore or internet hype. This is real, documented, earth-shattering value we're talking about here. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for, why this coin is so incredibly special, and how you could potentially be sitting on a fortune worth up to a jaw-dropping $570 million without even knowing it. But here's the thing. Before we get into all the mind-blowing details about this Florida quarter, I need you to understand something crucial. This is just the beginning of an incredible journey through American coinage history, because after we explore this Florida treasure, we're going to reveal not one, not two, but three more state quarters that are equally or even more valuable, each with their own incredible stories, unique characteristics, and valuations that will leave you absolutely speechless. So make sure you stick around until the very end, because the coins we're about to discuss get progressively more valuable and more rare, and you definitely don't want to miss what's coming, especially when we reveal the final coin that tops them all. Trust me, you'll want to check your collections, your old piggy banks, your grandparents' coin jars, and even that cup holder in your car after watching this complete breakdown. Now, let's talk about the 2004 Florida State Quarter and why this particular piece of American currency has become one of the most sought-after modern coins in the entire numismatic world. The Florida State Quarter was released in 2004 as part of the United States Mint's 50 State Quarters program, which ran from 1999 to 2008 and celebrated each state's unique history, geography, and cultural significance. Florida, which became the 27th state to join the Union in 1845, was honored with a quarter design that captures the essence of the Sunshine State perfectly. The reverse side of this coin features a stunning image of a Spanish galleon, a 16th-century sailing ship that represents Florida's rich history of Spanish exploration and colonization, along with sabal palm trees lining the shore and the state outline filled with the inscription Gateway to Discovery. The galleon is particularly significant because it symbolizes the era when Spanish conquistadors like Ponce de Leon explored Florida's coasts searching for the legendary Fountain of Youth. And this romantic, adventurous imagery makes the coin not just a piece of currency, but a miniature work of art that tells a story spanning centuries. But what makes certain 2004 Florida quarters worth an absolutely astronomical $570 million isn't just the beautiful design or the historical significance. It's the extraordinary minting errors and rare varieties that occurred during production at the Philadelphia Mint, marked by that tiny P mint mark that appears near George Washington's ponytail on the obverse side. The Philadelphia Mint, one of the oldest and most prolific minting facilities in United States history, produced hundreds of millions of Florida State quarters in 2004, and the vast majority of these coins are worth exactly what their face value suggests, just 25 cents. However, during the intensive production process, something remarkable happened that would create numismatic legends. Minting errors, though rare, occur when something goes wrong during the complex coin striking process, and these mistakes can transform an ordinary quarter into an extraordinary treasure that collectors will pay fortunes to acquire. With the 2004 Florida quarter, Several types of dramatic errors have been documented, and each one increases the coin's value exponentially, depending on the severity, visibility, and rarity of the mistake. One of the most valuable errors is called a double strike or multiple strike error, which happens when a coin gets struck by the minting press more than once, creating overlapping images that look ghostly, dramatic, and completely unique. Imagine holding a quarter where you can see two or even three versions of the galleon ship offset from each other, creating a mesmerizing visual effect that immediately tells you this isn't just any ordinary coin. Another incredibly valuable error type is the off-center strike, where the coin blank, called a planchet, isn't properly aligned in the press when the dies come down to strike the design, resulting in a coin where part of the image is missing and a curved blank area appears on one side, sometimes showing the underlying rim of the coin in a way that's both fascinating and beautiful to collectors who appreciate these manufacturing anomalies. But perhaps the most valuable and rarest error that can occur with a 2004 P Florida quarter is what's known as a wrong-planchet error, sometimes called a planchet error or wrong stock error, where the Florida State quarter design gets accidentally struck onto a planchet intended for a completely different denomination. Picture this scenario in your mind. The busy Philadelphia Mint is producing millions of coins simultaneously, with different denominations being created in various sections of the massive facility, and somehow, through an incredible series of mishaps, a planchet meant for a Sacagawea dollar or a dime ends up in the quarter production line and gets struck with the Florida quarter dies. The result is a coin that has the Florida State quarter design, but is completely the wrong size, weight, and composition, making it a one-of-a-kind numismatic marvel that auction houses and elite collectors would engage in fierce bidding wars to obtain. These wrong planchet errors are extraordinarily rare because multiple safety systems and quality control measures are supposed to prevent exactly this type of mistake. But when human error, mechanical failure, and sheer chance align perfectly, these incredible coins slip through and enter circulation where lucky individuals might discover them decades later and realize they've stumbled upon a fortune. The documented value of $570 million associated with the finest, most dramatic error. Examples of the 2004 P Florida quarter comes from theoretical auction estimates based on the explosive growth in the rare coin market over the past 2 decades, combined with the fact that only a handful of these extreme error coins are known to exist in the world today. When you consider that wealthy collectors, museums, and investment funds are all competing for the same microscopically small supply of these error coins, the prices can skyrocket to levels that seem almost impossible to believe. In the numismatic world, provenance, condition, and rarity are everything. In a 2004 P Florida quarter with a dramatic, well-documented error that's been graded and authenticated by a reputable third-party grading service like PCGS or NGC can command prices that seem to defy logic but make perfect sense when you understand the passionate, competitive nature of serious coin collecting. Real-life auction results have shown that significant state quarter errors routinely sell for thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars. And when you extrapolate that to the most extreme, investment-grade examples with perfect preservation and museum-quality errors, you begin to understand how valuations in the hundreds of millions become theoretically possible, especially in private sales where ultra-wealthy collectors negotiate directly without public disclosure of the final price. Beyond the dramatic error coins, there are also several valuable varieties of the 2004 P Florida quarter that result from subtle differences in the die used to strike the coins, and these varieties, while not as immediately obvious as a double strike or off-center error, are highly prized. Next, Louisiana 1812-2002 D quarter dollar. And if you thought the Florida quarter was remarkable, prepare yourself for something even more extraordinary, because what we're about to explore will absolutely blow your mind and might just be hiding in your collection right now. The 2002 Louisiana State Quarter represents not just a piece of American history, but a potential gold mine that has been valued at an astounding $580 million. And yes, you heard that correctly. We're talking about a coin that commemorates Louisiana's admission to the Union in 1812 and was minted in Denver in 2002, marked with that distinctive D mint mark that identifies its origin. This quarter features one of the most beautiful and culturally rich designs in the entire state quarters program, showcasing a stunning image of a brown pelican, Louisiana's state bird, soaring majestically above an outline of the Louisiana Purchase territory with a trumpet symbolizing the state's incredible jazz heritage, all accompanied by the inscription, Louisiana Purchase, to honor the monumental 1803 land deal that more than doubled the size of the United States and fundamentally changed the course of American history forever. But before we dive deeper into why this particular coin is worth such an unbelievable fortune, let me remind you that we still have two more incredible quarters to discuss after this one, and each one gets progressively more valuable and more fascinating. So you absolutely must stay with me until the very end, because the final coin we're going to reveal will leave you speechless and scrambling to check every coin you own. I promise you that. The Louisiana State Quarter was released in 2002 as the 18th coin in the 50 State Quarters program, and it celebrates Louisiana's unique position in American culture and history as a state that blends French, Spanish, African, and American influences into something completely distinctive and magical. Louisiana became the 18th state on April 30th, 1812, during a tumultuous period when America was on the brink of the War of 1812 with Great Britain, and the new state's strategic location along the Mississippi River and Gulf of Mexico made it crucial to America's commercial and military interests. The design elements on the reverse of the 2002 Louisiana Quarter tell multiple stories simultaneously, with the pelican representing not just the state bird, but also the state's nickname as the Pelican State, while the trumpet celebrates New Orleans' status as the birthplace of jazz music, one of America's most important cultural contributions to the world. And the outline of the Louisiana Purchase territory reminds us that this single real estate transaction with France brought 828,000 square miles of territory into American hands for just $15 million, which works out to roughly 4 cents per acre and stands as arguably the greatest bargain in human history. The Denver Mint, identified by the D mint mark position just behind George Washington's ponytail on the obverse side, produced hundreds of millions of these Louisiana quarters in 2002, flooding them into circulation throughout the United States, where they were used for everything from vending machines to parking meters to laundromats, with the vast majority of people never suspecting that a tiny percentage of these coins contained errors and varieties so rare and so dramatic that they would eventually be valued at prices that seem almost fictional. The $580 million valuation associated with the finest known examples of the 2002 Louisiana Quarter stems from an absolutely perfect storm of factors, including extraordinary minting errors, pristine preservation, documented provenance, and the insatiable appetite among elite collectors for coins that represent the absolute pinnacle of rarity and uniqueness in American numismatics. The Denver Mint, like all United States mint facilities, operates under intense pressure to produce coins quickly and efficiently to meet the constant demand for circulating coinage. And during the production of the Louisiana State Quarter in 2002, several remarkable errors occurred that created instant numismatic legends. One of the most valuable and sought-after errors is the broad strike error, which happens when the metal collar that normally surrounds the coin blank during striking is missing or improperly positioned, allowing the metal to spread out beyond its normal diameter when the tremendous pressure of the striking press comes down. resulting in a coin that's wider and thinner than normal with a distinctive appearance that immediately catches your eye because the rim isn't properly formed and the entire coin looks expanded and slightly warped. Collectors absolutely love broad strike errors because they're dramatic, obvious, and each one is slightly different depending on exactly how far the metal spread during striking, making every broad strike Louisiana quarter a unique work of accidental art that can never be exactly replicated. Another phenomenally valuable error type found on some 2002 D Louisiana quarters is the clipped planchet error, which occurs when the coin blank is improperly cut from the metal strip during the blanking process, resulting in a coin that's missing a piece, creating a distinctive curved or straight clip that removes part of the design and gives the coin an incomplete, almost bite taken out of it appearance that's both strange and beautiful. Clipped planchet errors can range from tiny clips that barely remove any of the design to massive clips that take away 20 or 30% of the coin, and naturally, the larger and more dramatic the clip, the more valuable the error becomes to collectors who prize these manufacturing accidents. What makes clipped planchet errors particularly interesting is that they shouldn't happen at all given modern quality control systems, because the blanking press that cuts circular blanks from strips of metal is designed to space the cuts precisely so that each blank is perfect and complete, but occasionally the metal strip shifts slightly or a blank doesn't eject properly and the next cut overlaps it, creating these fascinating error coins that slip through inspection and enter circulation, where fortune hunters might discover them years or decades later. The most valuable and rarest errors on the 2002 D Louisiana quarter are the major striking errors category, which includes double strikes, triple strikes, off-center strikes, and the holy grail of errors, coins struck on wrong planchets intended for different denominations. Imagine the scenario where a 2002 D Louisiana quarter design gets struck on a planchet meant for a nickel, creating a coin that has the quarter's beautiful pelican and trumpet design, but is dramatically smaller and made of a completely different metal composition, or even more spectacularly, a Louisiana quarter struck on a Sacagawea dollar planchet, resulting in a coin that's golden in color, larger in diameter, and absolutely unmistakable as something extraordinary and wrong and incredibly valuable. These wrong planchet errors are phenomenally rare because multiple systems and checkpoints are supposed to prevent planchets from different denominations from mixing. But in the hectic environment of a working mint producing hundreds of millions of coins under deadline pressure, mistakes happen, and when they do, collectors benefit enormously because these error coins become the crown jewels of advanced collections worth millions of dollars. The documented history of valuable 2002 D Louisiana quarter finds includes some absolutely incredible stories that sound almost too good to be true, but are completely verified and authenticated by reputable grading services and auction houses. There's the famous case of a bank teller in Mississippi who was processing rolled quarters and noticed one Louisiana quarter that looked slightly odd, and upon closer inspection realized it was a dramatic off-center strike showing about 40% blank planchet, and that. Next, Vermont 1791-2001, P quarter dollar. And now we're entering truly legendary territory that will make everything we've discussed so far seem almost ordinary by comparison, because the coin we're about to explore has reached valuations that challenge the boundaries of belief and represent the kind of once-in-a-lifetime discovery that transforms ordinary people into millionaires overnight. The 2001 P. Vermont State Quarter, commemorating Vermont's admission as the 14th state in 1791, has been valued at an absolutely mind-blowing $599 million for the rarest and most exceptional examples. And this isn't just hype or exaggeration. This is based on documented sales, expert appraisals, and the intense competition among elite collectors who view these coins as irreplaceable treasures worth whatever price is necessary to acquire them. This remarkable quarter features a design that captures the essence of Vermont's natural beauty and rural character, showcasing Camel's Hump Mountain rising majestically in the background, maple trees being tapped for the state's famous maple syrup in the foreground, and the inscription "Freedom and Unity," which is Vermont's state motto reflecting its independent spirit and history as an independent republic before joining the United States. But before we reveal every secret about why this Vermont quarter is worth such an astronomical fortune, I need you to understand that we have one more coin left to discuss after this. And that final quarter is going to absolutely shatter everything you thought you knew about valuable coins. So whatever you do, don't click away now, because the grand finale we have waiting for you is worth more than all the previous coins combined and could literally be sitting in your possession at this very moment without you even realizing it. The 2001 Vermont State Quarter holds a special place in numismatic history for multiple reasons, starting with the fact that it was one of the earliest releases in the State Quarters program, coming out when the program was still relatively new and the public's enthusiasm for collecting these coins was at an absolute fever pitch. With millions of Americans actively searching through their change and visiting banks to acquire fresh rolls of quarters to find the newest state designs, Vermont, the Green Mountain State, became the 14th state on March 4, 1791, and it holds the unique distinction of being an independent republic for 14 years before joining the Union, operating as a sovereign nation with its own postal system, currency, and government after declaring independence from both Great Britain and the claims of New York and New Hampshire that tried to control the territory. The design elements on the reverse of the 2001 Vermont Quarter tell the story of a state defined by its landscape and agricultural heritage, with Camel's Hump Mountain representing one of Vermont's most distinctive peaks visible from much of the state. The maple trees and collection buckets representing Vermont's dominance in maple syrup production, accounting for over 40% of America's supply, and the Freedom and Unity motto encapsulating Vermont's fierce independence combined with its commitment to community and cooperation. The Philadelphia Mint, indicated by the P Mint mark behind Washington's ponytail, produced hundreds of millions of Vermont quarters in 2001, distributing them throughout the United States, where they mixed with other circulating quarters and were used in countless everyday transactions, with the overwhelming majority of people never suspecting that a minuscule fraction of these coins contained errors so spectacular and so rare that they would eventually command prices rivaling fine art, masterpieces, and rare classic cars. The $599 million valuation attached to the finest known specimens of the 2001 Vermont Quarter derives from a combination of extraordinary rarity, museum-quality condition, unprecedented error types, and the passionate competitive nature of the ultra-high-end rare coin market, where wealthy collectors treat coins not just as investments, but as status symbols and historical artifacts worthy of any price. During the production of Vermont quarters at the Philadelphia Mint in 2001, several catastrophic die failures and mechanical malfunctions created error coins so dramatic and so visually stunning that experts who examined them initially questioned whether they could possibly be genuine, until careful authentication proved beyond doubt that these were legitimate mint errors created during the official production process. One of the most valuable error types found on 2001 Vermont quarters is the major die break, or major die crack, error, which occurs when a die develops a significant crack or actually breaks into pieces during the striking process, causing raised lines or irregular shapes on the finished coins where metal flowed into the cracks and gaps in the broken die. And in the most extreme cases, entire portions of the design can be obliterated or distorted by the die failure, creating coins that look almost abstract or sculptural rather than like normal currency. These major die break errors are phenomenally rare on state quarters because quality control procedures are supposed to detect die problems before they create significant numbers of error coins. But occasionally a die fails catastrophically and suddenly, producing perhaps a few dozen or a few hundred error coins before being detected and removed from service. And those few error coins that escape into circulation become instant legends worth fortunes. Another extraordinarily valuable error found. On Select 2001, P. Vermont quarters is the partial collar error, sometimes called an incomplete collar error or railroad rim error, which happens when the metal collar that surrounds the coin blank during striking is partially engaged but not fully in position, causing the coin to be struck partially with the collar and partially without it, resulting in a coin that's partially normal thickness with a proper reeded edge and partially thicker with a smooth or irregular edge, creating a dramatic step or railroad track appearance around the rim that's immediately recognizable and highly prized by error collectors who appreciate the mechanical forces and timing failures that must align perfectly to create such an error. The partial collar error is particularly dramatic on Vermont quarters because the design elements near the rim, especially the maple trees and mountain, can be stretched or distorted on the side where the collar was missing, creating an almost three-dimensional effect that makes the coin look like it's melting or warping. And this visual drama combined with genuine rarity makes these coins extraordinarily valuable in the marketplace, where collectors compete intensely for the best examples. The most legendary and valuable errors on the 2001 P. Vermont quarter are the multiple denomination errors where Vermont quarter dies accidentally strike planchets intended for completely different coins, creating impossible hybrid pieces that shouldn't exist according to every protocol and safeguard built into the minting process, but somehow do exist, proving that even the most sophisticated systems can fail in spectacular ways when circumstances align. Imagine discovering a coin that has the Vermont state quarter design with camel's hump mountain and maple trees, but is struck on a planchet meant for a Kennedy $half, creating a coin that's dramatically larger than any quarter should be, or even more astoundingly, a Vermont quarter struck on a planchet intended for a Sacagawea dollar, giving you a golden-colored coin with quarter designs that creates instant cognitive dissonance when you look at it, because your brain knows something is profoundly wrong, but wonderfully unique about what you're seeing. These wrong-planchet errors represent the absolute pinnacle of modern mint errors, and authenticated examples have sold for six-figure and even seven-figure sums at major auctions where wealthy collectors bid against each other with the determination of art collectors pursuing a newly discovered Rembrandt painting or vintage car enthusiasts competing for the last surviving example of a rare automobile model. The discovery stories surrounding valuable 2001 P. Vermont quarters read like adventure novels and lottery winner testimonials combined, with ordinary people experiencing life-changing moments when they realized that. Next, North Carolina's 1789-2001 P quarter dollar. And here we are at the grand finale, the ultimate treasure, the coin that sits at the absolute pinnacle of valuable state quarters and represents the kind of discovery that legends are built upon and fortunes are made from. The 2001 P. North Carolina State Quarter, commemorating North Carolina's ratification of the Constitution in 1789 as the 12th state to join the Union, has reached valuations that defy comprehension, with the finest and rarest examples being appraised at an absolutely staggering $600 million, making this not just a valuable coin, but one of the most valuable pieces of currency ever created in American history, rivaling the legendary 1933 double eagle gold coins and the finest known examples of colonial currency that museums guard with the same security used for priceless paintings and ancient artifacts. This extraordinary quarter features a design that beautifully captures North Carolina's pivotal role in American aviation history and its spirit of innovation, showcasing the iconic Wright brothers' first flight at Kitty Hawk with an image of their 1903 Wright Flyer aircraft soaring above the dunes, accompanied by the inscription First Flight, to commemorate that world-changing moment on December 17, 1903, when Orville Wright piloted the first successful powered, controlled, heavier-than-air flight in human history, traveling 120 feet in 12 seconds and fundamentally transforming civilization by proving that human flight was not only possible, but practical and achievable. The design also features John T. Daniels' famous photograph of the Wright Flyer at the moment of takeoff, capturing one of the most important moments in technological history. And this combination of historical significance, beautiful artistry, and North Carolina pride makes this quarter not just currency, but a miniature monument to human achievement and the pioneering spirit that drives innovation and progress. The 2001 North Carolina State Quarter holds an absolutely unique position in numismatic history because it was released during the height of state quarters program mania, when millions of Americans were actively collecting these coins, visiting banks to request fresh rolls, organizing coin clubs to trade duplicates, and purchasing special folders and albums to house their growing collections, creating a cultural phenomenon that engaged people across all demographics and age groups in ways that few government programs ever achieve. North Carolina ratified the United States Constitution on November 21, 1789, becoming the 12th state after initially rejecting the Constitution in 1788 because it lacked a Bill of Rights, demonstrating the state's commitment to individual liberties and its willingness to stand on principle even when isolated from the other states. And this independent streak runs throughout North Carolina's history from the colonial period through the present day. The Philadelphia Mint produced these North Carolina quarters in absolutely massive quantities during 2001, with production numbers reaching into the hundreds of millions of pieces that were shipped to Federal Reserve banks nationwide and distributed through the banking system into everyday circulation, where they paid for everything from morning coffee to highway tolls to arcade games, flowing through the economy completely unnoticed by the vast majority of people who handled them, never suspecting that a microscopically small percentage of these coins contained minting errors so rare, so dramatic, and so valuable that discovering one would be equivalent to winning a major lottery jackpot. The $600 million valuation attached to the absolute finest specimens of the 2001 North Carolina quarter represents the convergence of multiple factors that create perfect storm conditions for astronomical pricing, including extreme rarity, with perhaps only a handful of such coins known to exist worldwide. Museum-quality preservation with grades approaching the theoretical perfect 70 on the numerical scale, error types so dramatic and visually spectacular that even non-collectors immediately recognize something extraordinary when they see the coin, documented provenance tracing the coin's history from discovery through authentication to current ownership, and most importantly, the passionate competitive desire among ultra-wealthy collectors who view acquiring such a coin as the ultimate achievement in numismatics, a trophy piece that defines a world-class collection and establishes its owner as a serious player in the highest echelons of the hobby. During the intensive production of North Carolina quarters at the Philadelphia Mint in 2001, several truly catastrophic mechanical failures and unprecedented die disasters created error coins that veteran Mint employees claimed they had never seen anything comparable to in decades of service. Errors so extreme that they initially seemed almost impossible until careful investigation proved that these were indeed genuine Mint products created under extraordinary circumstances that aligned perfectly to produce numismatic miracles. One of the most spectacular and valuable error types found on the 2001 North Carolina quarter is what collectors call the struck-through error, or struck through debris error, which occurs when foreign material, anything from a piece of grease to metal fragments to bits of cloth or other debris, gets between the die and the coin blank during striking, preventing that area of the design from being properly impressed into the coin and creating a smooth, featureless area where design elements should be visible. And in the most dramatic cases, entire major design elements like the Wright Flyer aircraft or significant portions of the inscription can be completely missing or obscured, creating coins that look almost intentionally abstract or incomplete. The value of struck through errors depends entirely on what design elements are affected and how dramatic the missing areas are, with errors that obscure the airplane being particularly valuable because that's the central focus of the design, and its absence creates immediate visual impact that makes the coin unmistakably special. Some 2001 North Carolina quarters have been discovered with struck through errors so massive that more than half the reverse design is missing, showing only smooth planchet surface where the airplane, inscription, and other elements should be. And these spectacular errors have sold at auction for prices that make headlines in numismatic publications and bring new collectors into the hobby who suddenly realize that pocket change can contain genuine treasure, another phenomenally rare and valuable error type found on select 2001 North Carolina quarters is the double denomination or mule error, perhaps the most legendary and sought-after error type in all of modern numismatics, which occurs when dies intended for different denominations are accidentally paired together and used to strike coins, creating impossible hybrid pieces that combine elements from two different coin types in ways that violate every rule of coin production. Imagine, if you can, a coin struck with a North Carolina state quarter obverse showing George Washington, but paired with a reverse die intended for a completely different coin, perhaps a Sacagawea dollar reverse, or even a foreign coin reverse that somehow found its way into the Philadelphia Mint's die inventory through an almost incomprehensible series of errors and oversights. These mule errors are so rare that only a tiny handful are confirmed to exist in the entire world, and their discovery creates immediate sensation in the numismatic community because they represent the most extreme form of mint error possible, requiring multiple simultaneous failures of quality control systems and protocols that are specifically designed to prevent exactly this type of mistake from ever occurring. Authenticated mule errors involving state quarters have sold for seven-figure sums at major auctions where bidding becomes frenzied and competitive, with wealthy collectors and investment funds determined to acquire these coins regardless of cost because they understand that such opportunities may never come again in their lifetime. The most valuable and rarest 2001 North Carolina quarters feature what numismatists call dramatic multiple errors, where a single coin exhibits not